Hi, this is Rick McCall with SummerNet. I'm here with Katie Voss, and this is the Wednesday Project. Today's topic, we're going to be discussing the latest news with Google on their content farm algorithm.
Yep.
Take it away.
So Google just did a huge update that mostly was targeted toward content farms. And it's the first time that Google has really been specific in the kind of update that they were doing and the kind of sites that they wanted to promote in their algorithm. Content farms are basically sites with a huge volume of articles and information and content. And they're mostly written by people who either are paid nothing or virtually nothing. And the quality is, by definition, very low. So the goal of a content farm is to get hundreds of thousands of articles any way they can and then sell ads against it by getting good rankings. And that's not the way that Google wants to give a good user experience.
How would they know what is one good piece of content versus many pages of something that may not be so good?
Yeah, that's very tricky, and obviously we don't know exactly what they did, but basically Google is trying to figure out by words and information how good that content is and how relevant it's going to be to specific user questions. So, for example, if you want to find out about how to file your taxes, they look for an authority on that specific topic and someone that has provides more research and more depth and more insight into that topic, instead of just a content farm, which would be on a high page rank site.
Just from normal search, you see the things like Wikipedia come up. I'm assuming you say if that's the case, then that kind of information is good.
Wikipedia gets an absolute huge boost in rankings. They're probably the biggest beneficiary of Google traffic. Another huge one is about.com. Another pretty big site is wikihow.com. Even the site, which many people label a content farm, ehow.com is still doing pretty well with their rankings. So the main difference in those sites, especially the about.com and Wikipedia, is they have human editors, and there's actual moderators that moderate each article, and in many cases multiple moderators. So that increases quality and increases the accuracy of the information. Other ways that you can help get your site to do better is by increasing the number of positive signals and social signals to your site and to your content.
Yeah.
So if you can get tweets for your pages, if you can get Facebook likes and Facebook shares, and even bloggers to link to your site, even people commenting on your articles, all of those social signals do have an effect on your rankings.
That'd be more like the relevancy of current, what's more current now versus something that has written a long time ago and may not be as current. The social signals are going to be there to make sure it's still out there and people are still using it.
Yeah, because people aren't going to tweet an article that's not valuable and that's something that's not going to be useful to people. So it is possible to spam with Twitter, but in general, if you have people tweeting about your content, not only is it current, but it's also more topical and more useful to whatever query you're searching for.
Well, I think one of the big challenges too is when you're looking at you're trying to define your keywords and set up your pages as a small or medium-sized company, and then all of a sudden you start monitoring your rank, and then you see the Wikipedias and the eHowls and all the big guys up there. Is there any kind of strategy that you either work with them or work around them, or is it this, is trying to, in a sense of going back to this content farming thing, if how can we use that as a small business for our advantage to help rank or help move up?
Yeah. Well, as the old saying goes, if you can't beat them, join them. It's definitely good to have a Wikipedia page about your company if it's big enough. And most companies are large enough to, or would be allowed to have a Wikipedia page. If you're a person, you need to have a certain level of social authority to have your own page. But those are ways that you can actually sort of piggyback on the popularity of Wikipedia. You can do the same with WikiHow, and you can also submit articles to some of the major sites. You can even try to submit an article to about.com. And so even if they're ranking there, it's actually your content and linking to your site that ranks. So it can help you.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of the same philosophy with the social site too, because you're not just focusing on building your site, you're focusing on building the atmosphere around your site, and it all encompasses everything that is about you or about your company.
Yeah, so people aren't going to all go to your site for the same reasons or at the same time. And even if they're learning about your products and services on Twitter, or they're seeing your videos that someone posted to Facebook, even if they're not on your website, they're still consuming your content and they're still learning about you. So then they may very well come to you after 2 or 3 months of interacting on the external social sites.
Okay, what do you think one takeaway would be with this news Google coming out with how they're determining one content media guy versus another? What's your take on the state of this project?
So with the content farm update, one of the biggest things is duplicate content. Google just absolutely hates it, and they've always been trying to figure out ways to deal with it. So just whatever you do, stay away from doing duplicate content, and that can happen by accident. Some sites may post an article and then repost it on their blog, and then post it in the resources section of their website without maybe even knowing it. So it's very important to make sure all the pages are unique on your site, are unique and relevant, and provide very accurate, specific information for your users. And beyond that, the more specific and the more research and the more details you can put into your content, into your pages, the better it's going to do. So if you're saying things and your words are different than what someone else with less specific knowledge than you has, then you're going to do better. So for example, if you're if you're helping people, or if you have articles about helping people to prepare their taxes, you should know specific information about what the IRS is looking for that someone who's being paid $10 to write an article wouldn't know.
Yeah, it'd be great to see, how the machine of Google could take all this information and actually turn out and value what is good and what is maybe not so good, and giving the advantage to people that put the time in to write and create and try to produce great information.
Yeah, they say about 90% of email is spam, and I think that's probably true for the web as well. I think there's probably only about 10%. If they took 90% of the web away that wasn't as valuable and just left 10%,
Still here.
I think it would be we'd be okay.
Yeah. Well, this wraps up this episode of the Wednesday Project, and I'd like to thank Kaylee for coming out, taking his time to talk about the Google update for the content farming. It's been great information, and see how things go. Google's always constantly pushing forward with new stuff. So
yeah. Thanks for having me, Rick. I enjoyed being here, and I enjoyed talking about the Google update.
Okay, see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.